Hello, residents of MeepleTown. Today we're going to be doing a review of Reef, which is an abstract tiling game. John, why don't you go ahead and tell us what you think of the art and components?
Art and components are pretty good. Actually, let me rephrase that. No. Yeah,
Okay.
I like the components are great quality. The coral, the pieces of coral, the tiles, or whatever you want to call them, they're really good. The boards are, they're nice and thick. The art is good.
There's not much art.
There's not a lot of art.
This is the art. Like, the cards don't really have a whole lot of art on them.
Yeah, and I know this. I don't know if this counts, but the theme doesn't really grip me big time. But honestly, these few things I'm mentioning right now are about the only negatives that I'm going to be able to really say much about Reef, because I really enjoy this game. But again, the theme doesn't quite do it for me. The art is okay, but everything else, the components are very quality.
There is no theme in this game, I would say. It's an abstract game, and that's okay.
Are you telling me that humans don't build coral reefs all the time?
Well, I mean, they don't have to flip cards to be able to.
Yeah.
All right, but yeah, I agree. To an extent, I think the art is fine, but there's not much art in the game at all. The tiles, the little coral pieces are thick, and they don't have to be thick, but they're thick and they feel good when you pick them up. So I like that. But what about the gameplay? Because that's really what matters. What do you think?
Yeah, so really enjoy the gameplay. One of the things I like most about it is that you have to think multiple steps ahead in this game. You can't just get to be your turn and go, oh, let me make one quick play. And the reason is because you're drawing these cards, and when you draw the cards, they serve a dual purpose. The first purpose is to score whatever configuration you have, but actually it wouldn't be the first purpose. The first purpose is to pick up the tiles and place them. And the second thing you do is you score what's on your reef there. And so you have to be thinking, okay, I'm going to pick these up. Where am I going to put them? And the cool thing is that you have up to 4 in your hand. So you're not only thinking about this turn, but you're really most of the time thinking 2, 3 steps.
Right.
If you're doing really well, 4 steps ahead to go, okay, if I pick up, this is going to cost me to pick up a purple, and it's going to cost me to pick up a green. Okay, but I need to get a stack of 2 purples and 2 greens in order to score later on. So I need another card that's going to give me those same 2 reefs. So there's a lot of thinking to go along with, and I enjoy that thoroughly. What do you think?
I think it's really neat to go off of what you said. I think it's kind of cool to think about like what cards you're going to pick up.
Yeah.
And so you only have a 4 hand limit in this card. You can only have 4 cards in your hand. And so you start looking at this pile and think, well, I'd really like to have that card, but if I do that, then I'll have less space in my hand. Or if I don't pick this up, the other people might pick it up before it comes around back to me. So you really do have to think about, like you said, think steps ahead, but also think about what cards are there and which ones you want to be able to gather.
Which creates some really cool decisions.
Yeah.
Do I grab it now, or do I push my luck and wait, and hopefully it's still there whenever it comes back around to my turn?
Yeah,
I really like that.
And also, I really enjoy the pacing of this game. So if you play this 2 players, you can play in about 15 minutes, I would say. You can play 30 minutes in a 4-player game if everyone knows what they're doing.
Quick.
But you only do one action. You're only either going to draw a card or play a card. And so that goes by really quickly if, especially in a 4-player game, if you've had time to think about it, you're just going to rapidly play your card or pick up a card. There's not a whole lot to think about.
Sure.
And I enjoy that for a game that's not, there's some interesting decisions to make, but they're not so difficult that you're going to be sitting around for a couple minutes to make your choice. You're just going to do it and then move on. I enjoy that.
Unless you're working on, which is one of my favorite parts, I guess the combination. Like if you're thinking, I want to get 4 cards in a row or something where I can score it every time, because you've got to have that configuration that it has on there in order to score it. There'll be times when you probably will have to play a card just to pick up 2 tiles to prep for something later on in the game. But man, it can be a little bit of a brain burner if you're trying to get those combos going, which I like that. So I feel like there's certain times when it takes me a minute, and then plenty of times where it's just quick. I know what I'm going. Know where I'm going. So I like that. It's not a constant brain burner, but it is. There's definitely that element to it. So really like that.
Yeah, I also really enjoy the 3D aspect of this game.
Oh yeah,
because some of the cards will give you points if you have stacks of 2 or higher that meet this certain requirement of configuration. And I enjoy that because a lot of games like this, you're just looking at it from a 2D angle, but there's all those cards that add that 3D element. I think it just makes you have that much more of the decision to make.
Sure.
Not difficult. It doesn't really ramp up the complexity, but it is something more to think about how high you're going to stack these different piles.
So We're both talking pretty positively about
Yes.
it. Do we want to go ahead? Why don't you give your final rating, final thoughts?
Yeah, so I give this game an 8. I really enjoy it. I
a good
tend to
score.
enjoy abstract games anyway, especially quick games like this. Like I said, I enjoy the spatial element. I enjoy, like you said, the thinking ahead and the progress of playing all these different cards from your hand and having to think that far ahead. I really enjoy that. So this is one of my favorite abstract games. So I give it an 8.
It is one of my favorite as well. So I'm going to give it 7.5. Really close to what you give it, but I will say it's a really darn good game. If you want a quick family game at honestly a very affordable price, hands down, I think it's a great game to buy. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's almost a no-brainer, and not just a family game, just something that's pretty quick and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and Next Move, they're doing that and doing it well. So they also are putting out Azul Stained Glass and Azul, these simple, fast games that don't really take much explaining to do. I really
But
enjoy
have some thought to them.
Correct.
That's the one thing. There's a lot of fast-paced games that you don't have to make that many, I guess, interesting decisions in the game. This you do. And Azul you do as well, but this one you definitely do. I quite enjoy Reef. So if you like our review and it's helpful for you, please subscribe to this channel. Also, we have an Instagram and Twitter pages. It's at MeepleTown Games on both of those. We have a podcast that you can go look up. We're on Podbean, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes. Just search MeepleTown, all one word. So should we say thanks for coming down, sir?
Thanks for coming down to MeepleTown.
Thanks for joining us, and be sure to follow us on Twitter at MeepleTown Games, and connect with us on the MeepleTown Guild number 3407 at BoardGameGeek.com, and also subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel. And until next time, thanks for coming down to MeepleTown.